Tariq, if you do this shit, you can never go back.
I'll do anything to go back. To go back to how it was before you left us for Angela.
Not many would have thought this young boy that we were introduced to in the very first seasons of Power would not only turn into a killer, but also responsible for multiple deaths, and eventually the one who pulled the trigger on Ghost. But here we are, 6 seasons of Power and 2 seasons of Ghost. Tariq leaves a wake of bodies in his journey, a journey which started with innocence, but turned into one where he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps.
That's the best you can do, a fucking drug dealer.
It's the best you could do, right? That's the best you could do. If it's okay for you, why ain't it okay for me?
Listen to me, Tariq.
Ghost's reluctance to teach Tariq the game and distance relationship was also fueled with lies, only pushed Tariq to finding what he was looking for in Kanan Stark, even after he found out Kanan started off manipulating him as Slim. Tariq had this respect for Kanan because he accepted him for who he was.
You know, I was the only person that really cared for Kanan. I just took a loss so you guys could win.
What you say?
I'm the reason you guys won.
He showed him the old neighborhood, taught him how to hustle and be his own man, and eventually convincing Tariq it had to be him who pulled the trigger on his father. But since then, Tariq has gone through a whirlwind of events, with Tasha being in jail, having to commit murders himself, losing loved ones, and facing his own double homicide. So the events that have played out since the end of Power have made Tariq realize he wants out the game. But the sad truth about Tariq St. Patrick is, as much as he now wants out the game, something will always pull him back in, and in my opinion, everybody eventually pays for their sins. But it's not Tariq we should be feeling sorry for, it's the trailer bodies he leaves behind and the people he hurts. So in the rest of this video, we're gonna dissect Tariq's history, how he's had a hand in multiple deaths, whether or not he'll succeed in going legit, and why he has the potential to succeed, but why he's destined to fail. Now, Tariq was a character who grew up in Power who was oblivious to the street world. He grew up in this penthouse suite where Ghost and Tasha covered the truth about their past and what they had to do to get to where they were. The first real death he felt was the most pivotal moment in uncovering the truth, and it was Sean's death. Something that would later make him resent his father even more than he already did, because it wasn't Ghost or Tasha who told him the truth. Jukebox forced Kanan to tell Tariq. Now, even though he felt this hurt and betrayal, he still continued on his path to becoming his own man, a journey which ended up with him being introduced to some bad people from the neighborhood, Ray, Brains, and Big Country, and we saw them working together. But the game-changing moment was the robbery that went wrong, a robbery which resulted in the innocent death of Carol, and Tariq knew he was in trouble, which is why he asked his dad about potentially moving to Chode. But at the time, a young Tariq didn't realize you can't run from the game, and you can't hide from the consequences of your actions. One way or another, it always has a way of catching up, and sometimes innocent parties get in the way. Such was the case in this instance. So with Ray being a cop, he heard what went down at the precinct, and he knew it was some stupid shit that Brains and Big Country did. So with Ray wanting to tie up loose ends, he killed them both, and Tariq was next because he was also at the scene of the crime. Unfortunately, this resulted in the innocent death of Raina St. Patrick. Now, this was Tariq's biggest loss that he faced in Power at that moment in time, and it was a big loss. Raina was his twin, and losing a twin is devastating. Losing a twin triggers all sorts of emotions of guilt and can even cause an identity crisis, because the twin relationship is often closely tied together. But it's important to remember everybody grieves differently, and Tariq, having this sense of guilt and responsibility around Raina's death, he took matters into his own hands.
I'd love to hear your take since you never play fair with anyone. Do you?
Professor Reynolds, how? What the fuck?
How? What the fuck? Little nigga damn sure didn't play fair with me.
Yeah, me neither.
Man, you play fair with your dumb ass. You got what you deserve.
That was for my sister.
So does Tariq fight fair? I think we can make a good case where he doesn't. For example, the Kanan Stark kill. But Ray's death was definitely warranted, but that's not the point and purpose for this video. Everybody who gets close to Tariq St. Patrick either ends up dead, in jail, or gone, just like the rest of the characters in Tariq's classroom. Tasha killed Lakeisha to save Tariq, but now Cash will grow up without his mom. He left the back door open for Tommy to kill Joe Proctor, and now Elisa Marie doesn't have a father or a mother. He killed Jabari, and he also forced Carrie on the stand instead of Lauren. Although the latter two, we can argue, they should never have poked their nose in business they shouldn't have, but it goes back around to those who get involved with Tariq ends up dead.
I had Ramirez looking to Tariq. Anybody who's around that boy for too long ends up either dead or locked up.
Bodies continue to pile up around you, Tariq.
I will bet my law license
that someone else will die now that he's back on the streets.
This is the sad and harsh truth about Tariq St. Patrick. He has those close to him, and he'll always put himself first, which is not a bad thing, because sometimes in life you definitely have to look at what's best for yourself. But Tariq's actions often lead to consequences for others, and that's the difference. The third season of Power Book 2 Ghost kicks off with Tariq St. Patrick determined to get his trust, get back to his family, and get out of the game for good. The emergence of a ruthless new Connect interrupts Tariq's plans to reunite with Tasha and Yaz, and puts him, Braden, and Effie back in business with the Tejadas, as they're challenged to move more weight than ever before. When Braden brings Tariq in as an intern at his family's hedge fund, Weston Holdings, the drug business expands beyond Stansfield and the streets onto Wall Street, while Tariq is shown an alternate, legitimate path to success. Now, between Season 6 of Power and Season 2 of Ghost, there's been a big shift in Tariq's mentality, and the foundation we set in the first chapter of this video gives us the reason as to why. Tariq is fed up with the fact whoever he gets close to ends up being dead or hurt because of his actions. For example, Tasha being in jail in Season 1, and most recently, Lauren's death. So at the end of Season 2, Tariq came up with a plan. His plan was to blackmail Mecca for $2 million, and then he was out the game, something Monet did agree to, or did she?
And you gonna hustle. The Tejadas ain't gonna just let you walk away, son.
I do think it's important for us to remember Tariq is a goldmine for any distro. He's smart and he's strategic. He brings in a heck of a lot of money, and he's clever in the manner he does. And let's not forget, the sole reason why the Tejadas are in business is because of Tariq St. Patrick. So why would Monet allow someone like Tariq to just walk away? It doesn't make sense, which is why she killed Mecca before he could get his hands on the $2 million, which would have given him his exit plan. Although I'm sure Mecca never planned on giving him the $2 million anyway. But regardless, Monet was definitely looking out for her own self-interests. So even though Tariq will start Season 3 working with the Tejadas, his goals and targets remain the same. Exit the game, get his trust, and get back to his family. What's left of it, that is. So in Season 3, we're going to see Tariq enter the real world of business. Braden's going to bring him in as an intern at his family's hedge fund, Weston Holdings. But this is where Tariq will make his first mistake, and why I think he's destined to fail, which I'm going to come to in just a moment. But this is a legit path that Tariq will realize is another way he can create success. Tariq is a smart individual, and the knowledge that he has in the game can actually be transferred into the real world. Elon Musk once said, drug dealers know more about running a business than 95% of college professors, which is true. How many college professors do you guys know who run successful businesses? We've got professors and teachers teaching business studies who have never opened or even attempted to create their own, which is why I think Tariq has every chance of being successful on Wall Street if he leaves the drug game behind. But the key word is if. The Tejadas aren't just going to let him walk away, and that's one of Tariq's biggest problems. Another will be Kiki Travis. When Tariq enters Wall Street, I fully expect him to meet Kiki. Now, she's a young VP at a Wall Street firm. She's Ivy League educated, doesn't come from privilege, but is making her own way in the world of business elite. So don't be surprised if we see Tariq striking a relationship and bond with Kiki. She doesn't come from privilege, but she made it on her own. So when and if Tariq gets involved with Kiki, how will he juggle his drug life, a newfound love interest who's not involved in the street game? Don't forget, we've seen it before with Lauren, and we all saw how that ended. What makes things more even complex is Effie, but she's a character I broke down in this video, so I will leave the link down below in the description and comment section. Now, while we're on the topic of Tariq in Wall Street, let's just rewind it back to something Courtney Kemp said post Season 1. The big shift that would happen in Season 5, the big shift that I'm planning for Season 5, would take the show in a different direction, where frankly, it could go on forever. The show could go on for 10 seasons or more, considering that shift, and it is a big shift. One thing that I will mention is that we decided to take Ghost into politics, because politics is a great place for liars. There are also other careers which are great places for liars, and there may be a really nice way to bring Tariq into the real world. And this is where we are in the series, Tariq entering the real world, except instead of politics, he's entering Wall Street, which has some of the largest financial firms and a trading hub of the world's biggest economy. So now we're starting to see that shift in Ghost. We're starting to see Tariq in the real world, and when he does, he's going to have a choice to make, because there's going to be plenty of money to be made in the financial industry, but it's also an area where great liars and manipulators thrive. Another area is law.
You know what, kid? You might make a decent lawyer someday.
You know there's no such thing as a decent lawyer.
There's no such thing as a decent lawyer, another profession that's good for liars. So was Davis McLean wrong? Would Tariq make a decent lawyer? Of course he would. Just like Monet sees the potential in Tariq St. Patrick, so does Davis McLean. But whichever route Tariq goes in, one thing can be sure, the game will follow him, which is why I believe he's destined to fail. For the large portion of power we saw Ghost try and exit the game. He went as far as wiping out everybody who could associate James St. Patrick as Ghost, but there's only so much you can control, which is why his past always caught up with him, and the same goes for Tariq. As much as Tariq wants to go legit and where he'll find a way on Wall Street where he can create success, the Tejadas will never let him leave, and no doubt there's going to be other factors such as a dangerous new connect and running his new empire through Wall Street. But let's rewind it back to the beginning. Actions have consequences, and just like Tariq's actions resulted in the death of those he saw in his nightmare, will Tariq one day end up in the same classroom for all the bad shit he's done? After all, he played a huge part in the St. Patrick's downfall, and so it's only right Tariq meets his end. Although I do think it's worth mentioning this.
Now listen, remember how Ghost always used to say there's only two ways drug dealers end up? Dead or in jail? Well, I think I found another way.
Tariq said he has a third way, although they haven't expanded since, but we may have seen it already, faking your death just like Tommy did. Whether Tariq was talking about this, who knows? But if he does have a third way, let's wait and see, because the universe works in a funny way, and power works in vicious cycles, so in my opinion, Tariq definitely has to meet his fate. So the questions I have for you guys is, has Tariq realized the hurt and pain he's caused to all those he loves? Will he succeed in going legit, or is he destined to fail, just like Ghost?
If we don't do something now, he'll become a bigger monster than his father ever was.